involvement, peripheral neuropathy, and compression of spinal cord due to subluxation of atlantoaxial ligaments. Ophthalmic involvement in form of scleritis and episcleritis. The ophthalmic involvement in form of scleritis, episcleritis, scleromalacia, and Zika syndrome. Scleritis, episcleritis, scleromalacia, and the Zika syndrome. This syndrome is a combination. It is combination of keratoconjunctivitis, xerostomia, and the salivary enlargement of salivary glands. It is Zika syndrome is keratoconjunctivitis plus xerostomia plus salivary gland enlargement is known as Zika syndrome. So these are the ophthalmic involvements of the rheumatoid arthritis. Now I will talk about a different syndrome now known as Felt syndrome. It is combination of splenomegaly, especially in acute onset of the rheumatoid arthritis plus neutropenia plus rheumatoid arthritis. Sorry. So combination of splenomegaly, neutropenia, and rheumatoid arthritis is known as Felt syndrome. Now I will move on the diagnosis part of the rheumatoid arthritis. It is the most disabling type of arthritis and most common form of the autoimmune type of arthritis. And it involves more than 1% of population, 3 times more seen in females. So diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis is made on the basis of clinical and laboratory basis. A combination approach of the clinical and lab diagnosis. In clinical form, the complete history of the disease is very helpful in making a diagnosis. The clinical history includes the stiffness longer than 1 hour, and it is morning type of stiffness, generalized stiffness, but it is also seen in the resting position. When the patient rests for a long time, he will have stiffened joints which will longer for more than 1 hour. The stiffness of other joints, that like osteoarthritis, is also having morning stiffness and generalized stiffness, but it resolves very rapidly within 15 hours to half an hour. But the stiffness of the rheumatoid arthritis is longer than 1 to 2 hours. Involvement of the small joints, involvement of the hand joints, sparing of the sacroiliac joint, so these are the points to be noted during history taking: stiffness, small joint involvement, especially metacarpophalangeal joint and proximal interphalangeal joints. Distal interphalangeal joints are not affected in the rheumatoid arthritis, and the especially hand joints are involved, and sacroiliac leg joint is rarely involved or spared in rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid nodules. So these are the clinical diagnosis points: stiffness, small joints, hand joints, sacroiliac joint sparing, and rheumatoid nodules. Now I will move on the lab diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid factor, IgG and IgM, mainly clinically it is IgM, and it is seen in 20 to 30% patients in early phase, but more than 60% in progressive phase or late phase of the disease. So it is sensitive but non-specific for the rheumatoid arthritis. As I have already told, there is citrullinated peptide or citrullinated protein in the synovial membrane. Antibodies are formed against the citrullinated fibrin of the synovial membrane. So anticyclic citrullinated proteins are also seen in the serum. So anti-CCP, that is cyclic citrullinated protein. It is specific for the rheumatoid arthritis and can be seen in more than 65% cases of the rheumatoid arthritis. The other examination done in lab are marker of inflammation, which includes elevated ESR, erythrocyte sedimentation rate, anemia, thrombocytosis, and increased level of inflammation specific proteins like C-reactive proteins. And increased viscosity of plasma due to increased level of inflammation specific proteins like C-reactive protein, and there will be positive antinuclear antibodies in 25 to 30% cases. No diagnosis is pathognomonic for the rheumatoid arthritis, but it is diagnosed by a combined approach of the clinical and lab diagnosis. Radiologically, the X-ray of the affected joint is done. X-ray, but X-ray will be normal in initial phase, that is about 3 to 6 months. There will be no X-ray finding besides the inflammation of the synovial membrane and soft tissue. After that, there will be cartilage, eroded cartilage, and the bone is damaged, which can be seen in X-ray, and later on there will be decreased joint space. So initially there will be soft tissue inflammation, that is synovium or synovitis, then cartilage eroded, then bone destruction and decreased joint space. So these are the X-ray findings of the rheumatoid arthritis. Initially it is without findings, but synovitis can be seen in symmetrical joints. Then USG of the joint to diagnose about the volume of the synovial fluid, and the membrane, that is synovium, can be more clearly seen in the ultrasonography. Very specific but expensive and should be spared for the cervical spines, and it is MRI. It will clearly indicate the inflamed synovium and the cartilage and eroded bony surface, but it should be done for only atlanto-occipital, that is upper cervical joints, and compression of the spinal cord. Arthrocentesis. In routine examination, it is not done, but when there is suspected septic arthritis, the joint fluid, that is synovial fluid, should be aspirated to examine about the presence of bacteria and other cells and the other features of the synovial fluid. So these are the diagnosis criteria and lab and clinical criteria to diagnose the rheumatoid arthritis. Now I will move on the treatment part. The treatment of rheumatoid arthritis is done on the non-pharmacological and pharmacological methods. The non-pharmacological approach of rheumatoid arthritis is to provide the rest and splinting to the affected joint to keep it mobile and preservation of its actions. So rest and splinting of the joint, active and passive movements, aerobic exercise, that is walking slowly in initial phase and moving fast in later phase, but no running, to provide the to protect the joint cartilage. Besides these, there will be an important role of the occupational therapist and physiotherapist to regain the mobility and functions of the joint. Physiotherapist and the occupational therapist are part of rehabilitation. To regain the ADL. ADL is activities of daily life. Then the pharmacological approach to treat the rheumatoid arthritis. In last few decades, the clinical remission from the rheumatoid arthritis is achieved very rapidly by using the combined approach of the medicines. That is, different types of medicines are combined to treat the patient of rheumatoid arthritis according his or her symptoms and signs. First is, mainstay of treatment should be to reduce the pain and inflammation. There are some medicines known as NSAIDs. These medicines will decrease the inflammation and pain, but these medicines will not affect the course of the disease and will not modify the course of the rheumatoid arthritis. So NSAIDs are used to decrease the pain and inflammation and joint swelling. Aspirin is the most effective NSAID to hasten the symptoms of the rheumatoid arthritis. But naproxen, indomethacin, diclofenac, ibuprofen can also be used to decrease the pain and inflammation. Nowadays, COX-2 inhibitors are frequently used to decrease the GIT side effects of the NSAIDs, that is, COX-2 inhibitor, especially torcoxib, in a dose of 90 to 120 milligram per day. It is very effective, but all medicines are less effective to the aspirin. There is a different class of medicine known as bridge medicine in the rheumatoid arthritis, that is corticosteroid. These are the bridge medicines, known as bridge medicine, because these act as a bridge between the rapid acting NSAIDs and slow acting disease modifying anti-rheumatic drugs. So these will decrease the inflammation and swelling of the joint and synovium. The most commonly used corticosteroid to treat the patient of rheumatoid arthritis is the prednisolone. It should be used in low doses, that is 5 to 7.5 milligram per day in a single or divided doses, but it should be kept below 5 milligram per day. To decrease the dose, the 1 milligram tablet should be used. But when the remission is not achieved or the symptoms of the rheumatoid arthritis do not hasten, then dose should be increased up to 15 milligram per day. This is the dose for the articular manifestations. When there are extra articular manifestations, the dose of the corticosteroid or prednisolone can be increased many times. There are some newer and other medicines which act slowly but having dramatic results in clinical remission of the rheumatoid arthritis, known as DMARDs, disease modifying anti-rheumatic drugs. There are two types of DMARDs, non-biological and biological. there are some known biological or synthetic DMRDs, which are antimalarials. The hydroxychloroquine, it is given in a dose of 400 to 600 milligram per day in divided doses, but in long term it affects the retina and leads to retinopathy. So patients receiving the hydroxychloroquine should be examined the retina at the 1 to 2 months interval. Oral gold. Oral gold is also increased to hasten the symptoms of the rheumatoid arthritis in form of orofen. Injectable gold, that is IM injection of gold. Minocycline, it is antibiotic but also having disease modifying effect on the rheumatoid patient, and it is given in 100 milligram twice a day dose for 1 to 2 years. Due to its less side effects, it is a dramatic medicine for the patients of rheumatoid arthritis. The other drug, which is also in class of non-biological disease modifying drugs, is known as D-penicillamine. Sulfasalazine, in a dose of 1 to 3 gram per day. It is initially started the half gram or 500 milligram twice a day. Then dose can be increased up to 3 gram per day in 2 to 3 divided doses to achieve the remission of the disease. Methotrexate. Nowadays, this medicine is making mainstay of the treatment with DMARDs. It is used in a dose of 7.5 to 10 milligram per week, but dose can be increased up to 20 to 25 milligram injection once a week. Folic acid should be given as a nutrition supplement, and to decrease the side effects of the methotrexate, that is some blood related, and stomatitis is the most common and frequent side effect of the methotrexate. A newer drug which is used to modify the symptoms and signs of the rheumatoid arthritis is known as leflunomide. It is used in a single dose of 20 milligram per day. These medicines should be given for first 3 months, and disease should be monitored every 3 months to some remission or hasten of the symptoms. If there is no remission and though no hasenness of the symptoms, dose can be increased and patients should be re-examined after 3 months. And if there is no improvement of the disease course, before treatment failure labeling, dose should be increased up to its maximum dose, and then medicine should be changed from non-biological to the biological disease modifying anti-rheumatic drugs. This class of medicines include tumor necrosis factor alpha inhibitor, interleukin factor inhibitor, and the anti-CD-B. This class is having some medicines. These are infliximab, the biological. DMARD is infliximab. It is given in a dose of 2 mg per kg by IV route within 2 hours. Per kg within 2 hours by IV route, but dose can be increased up to 10 mg per kg, and it can be repeated after 2nd week and 6th week of the course. The other drug, which is also in class of DMARD biological class, it is known as anakinra. The other medication is Etanercept. It is also a newer drug and used for a long time for the modification of the disease course in rheumatoid arthritis. Ritonavir. Besides these pharmacological treatments, there are some surgical treatments to gain the mobility and the function of the joints, like synovectomy, tenosynovectomy, and transfer of ligaments and tendons in the joints to decrease its pain and inflammation and to regain its activities without pain and inflammation. So it was all about the rheumatoid arthritis, a disease, chronic inflammatory disease of joints and extra-articular places of the body like skin, lungs, kidney and heart. And the disease is more common in females than males, and especially in middle-aged females. So it was about the rheumatoid arthritis. Bye-bye.